Good evening. Tonight we're joined from Ontario, Canada by Dustin Bird. So thank you, Dustin, for joining us on your Tuesday afternoon. Obviously, you're joining us today because you've just released your debut EP, Unscripted, at the start of the month.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have it out?
It feels really great, like just, to have all that music finally be out there, yeah.
Was there kind of any worries that it might not happen? Obviously, with all the COVID stuff going on, has it kind of been delayed at all?
The album was actually not delayed. It was actually kind of pushed forward a little bit, just because we just announced this new signing that I did with Open Road Recordings over here in Canada, and so we wanted to get this project out. So we were basically like all January working really, really hard to make sure that this thing could basically come out in time. But a big thing that's allowed that to happen is because I've produced most of this album. So, I can basically just like sit here and get most of the stuff done that needs to be done. So kind of like that's been a big uh, advantage, I guess, that I've had throughout COVID.
So how would you kind of describe your sound then for those first time listeners, with this being your debut EP? Because it's got a real kind of mix of different types of songs on it.
Yeah. It really is diverse. Like it really is a bunch of different pieces of me that I've put into this record. So that's kind of the idea behind Unscripted, and that's why we went with that title, because the whole record kind of is unscripted as you're listening through. It's got just a lot of my different influences coming through, and a lot of different stories going on throughout that album. That the project was done over the course of a little over a year. So just like as a person, as a human, like a lot's changed. Just even with COVID and stuff, but a lot has just changed in my life, and so I wanted to get that out there, and I wanted to make sure that each song, musically, from a production standpoint, best reflected the story that I was trying to tell in each song. So, it's not, I guess, a traditional album in that sense of like every single song kind of has like a similar sound and whatever. Like they definitely do vary from one song to another, but that's just because I really wanted to communicate my story as best I could.
So with touring obviously quite limited at the minute, how important have sites like Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon been for launching your career?
They've been unbelievably supportive. Like you just mentioned, like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube Music, like getting such amazing support from them has been incredibly critical, and retaining a solid connection with my current fans, as well as being able to grow new fans. Like normally we're out on the road, and that's how we're getting a lot of new fans. So kind of this the DSPs, they've been really, really great in helping us transition kind of over into that digital space and still reach out to new people, still hit new audiences, and still be able to get the work out to people. And that's what we did. That's kind of what we wanted to do with this live off the floor. So on the album, there's a couple tunes that we actually did live off the floor because we couldn't do live shows. We were like, how do we kind of make the best of both worlds happen? So we back in the fall went in, tracked this live off the floor stuff, and put it out there. So Rolling Stone and Every Little Town on the record are both captured live, just in a studio here in Ontario, and they're really special songs for me because they have that kind of live feeling to them. They're really kind of stripped back, and they tell that story in a really, I guess, minimalist way, and they communicate that live energy, which is really important for me. So the DSPs have been really, really great about that whole thing. Yeah.
So when you kind of hear your names, your song's going to be on sort of playlists like the New Music Nashville and Canada's New Music Friday, how much kind of notice do you get that that's actually going to happen?
Oh, like I don't know until it's on there, basically. So it's like just as much of a surprise to me as it is for everybody else. You know, basically we plan to put the work out, and we hope that it gets a great response. So, you know, for playlists to pick it up, it's like rocking, because it, you know, it tells us um, that the work is being received well. Like it really is all about the music. It really is all about what we're saying, and what we're doing that way, in hopes to basically just connect with people, and you know, have people resonate with you know, either a song on the album or the album as a whole. But that's why I love the fact that it's so diverse, because it gives people those kind of different points of entry. You know what I mean?
So with Wake Up, it's now reached over 137,000 streams on Spotify alone. Are there days you just kind of have a quick look to see how it's doing and almost pinch yourself that it's actually happening?
You know, like I don't really look at the numbers. I find that to be kind of an unhealthy vortex that you can get yourself in. Uh, so numbers for me, they're great, but like ultimately, it's just knowing that people are out there streaming the song, and that, you know, people are responding to it. So if that's, you know, 100,000, 200,000, whatever that is, as long as somebody's out there being like, I resonate with this, this makes me feel good. That's all that I really care about. And of course, like, I've got a great team of people around me, so that I don't have to constantly be looking at those numbers. So it's like, you know, they'll be like, hey, like, you just, you know, you just hit this benchmark, or like whatever. And I'm like, awesome. That's awesome. Um, but you know, if we don't hit that benchmark, if we, you know, if we don't hit number one, or whatever it is, like that's fine. As you know, um, it's kind of like, I don't want to um, get caught up in the idea that we need to hit something for it to be successful. We're all working really, really hard, to make this stuff happen and to get it out there. And so, however, you know, that is reflected in streams is sort of secondary to the fact that just people are out there streaming the songs.
So your next single is going to be Broken Lonely, and it's going to Canadian country radio in, well, less than a week now. So what stood out to you then about that track to make it be your next single?
It's just so honest. Like, I when I wrote the song, it's one of those songs that I think, like, you have an idea, and you try song after song after song to get that idea out, and eventually with Broken Lonely, everything just clicked. What I wanted to communicate was that I was broke and lonely, and that, you know, I wasn't at the place in my life that I thought I'd be at when I was like 16, 17, you know. um so I'd written a lot of different ideas, a lot of different songs around that idea, but until I actually just put it into like the direct words of just Broken Lonely, and just sang it, um and writing that story from, you know, with like no fluff, no nonsense, just telling the story, um that's when it really kind of like hit home for me, because it for me, the song is saying like that's okay. It's saying like it's okay to be wherever you are in life. Like, you don't need to, for going back to the streams thing, right? Like, you don't need to, you know, hit that many streams to be happy with yourself, you know, to know that you're working hard, and that you're doing a good job. You don't need to, you know, be um in a relationship. You don't need to be like married, you know, by a certain age. Like, those ideas are ideas that we create when we're younger, and we tend to kind of compare ourselves to others as we grow up, um, and generally that makes us feel bad about ourselves. So I wanted to write that song about that, and about saying like it's all right. And so, you know, for the album as a whole, to me, that this song both reflects the record, and it's also an introduction to where I'm headed down the road. So for me, it's a really kind of pivotal song that way.
So you have the lyric video out already.
Yeah.
Is Canada kind of in a position at the minute for you to go out and sort of film a music video, or is that not in the plan?
It kind of depends. Like there is you know, a limit of people that you can have in a room and stuff. So with the Broken Only lyric video, that was just my brother and I. We did that just on some back roads around here in Ontario, and we actually just finished doing some live off the floor stuff again. So we actually took Broken Only and a couple other tunes, which were really fun. Um, and we did it. We did it with a few great filmographers that videographers, rather, I should say. I don't know what the proper term is, but great people who could shoot videos, and we captured it, and it looks phenomenal. They did such a good job, and so I'm really excited for that to go out, because I think, like, you know, we did the original live off the floor stuff with restrictions in place. We've done the lyric video with, you know, just my brother and I. Now we've done this thing, and so working around restrictions isn't too big of a deal for us, because ultimately, like, it's just about the music. So I don't ever feel like, you know, we have to do something extravagant or you know, super fancy and have like 20 different people doing stuff. I mean, I'd love that, but we don't need to do that right now. So we're patient. We're going to you know, wait basically until everything is safe and everybody can go in there, you know, confidently knowing that they're not going to come out of there with COVID. And then, you know, at that time we will pursue shooting more uh, grandiose kind of projects and stuff like that. But yeah, for now it's just about communicating the music and doing some live performances and basically keeping things as exciting as we can throughout COVID.
Excellent. Here, so you're going to play the song "Broken Lonely" now for us, aren't you?
Yeah, I can play it now. I can play it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, how do I, yeah, let's see. I always forget how to play my own songs. That's like my favorite. That's my favorite thing to do. Is just forget how to play my own songs. 16, thought I was in love, and hell, maybe I was, 'cause it hurt like hell when we broke up. But I just tried to roll with the punch, got back in my feet, chasing girls and dreams. Time was chasing after me, but I got all I need, and I'm starting to see life unfolds as it's meant to be. If you would've told me I'd be alive right now, I probably would've believed you. If you would've said that I'd be settling down, I would've seen no reason why I wouldn't be grown up and doing well for myself. Fast forward and I'm still trying to figure it out. With someone told me I feel a little more slowly, and it's alright to be broken lonely. Yeah. Forever always tends to look better when you're with somebody you love. 'Cause every storm weathered alone feels like waiting on a miracle to come. I always get back in my feet, still chasing that dream. Time is chasing after me, but I got all I need, and I'm starting to see life unfolds and it's meant to be. If you would've told me I'd be alive right now, I probably would've believed you. Said that I'd be settling down, I would've seen no reason why I wouldn't be grown up and doing well for myself. Fast forward and I'm still trying to figure it out. Someone told me I could never live more slowly. It's alright to be broken lonely. If you would've told me I'd be alive right now, if you would've said that I'd be settling down, I would've seen no reason why I wouldn't be grown up and with myself. Fast forward now, so trying to broken lonely. That's Broken Lonely.
Thank you very much. So before we move on, can we go through the guitar collection behind you? It's a pretty impressive array you've got going on.
Some more over here. And yeah, no, I like produce everything out of this room, right? So I've built a collection over the years to like just make the sounds that I need to make with guitars. A couple of them, like this one's kind of interesting. Hold on, let me pull this one out for you. So this guitar, this is actually, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, but this was like this is like out of all the guitars, this is such an impulse buy. I was with a couple of my buddies in Ottawa, and I saw it in the guitar store. It's just this like Fender Squier. It's like a 6-string bass. And so like it's tuned like a bass, but it's, you can play it like a guitar. So I don't know if you can really hear that there.
Yeah.
I've literally used this thing like 2 times I bought it like 5 years ago maybe, and I've used it like twice because I literally have no purpose for it whatsoever. But it's just like this really long sort of hipster looking thing, and I was like, man, like that's cool. I think I'll buy that. So that was, I don't want to say that I regret it, but it was an impulse for sure. And a lot of the instruments that I buy, they're partially impulse buys, partially because I convinced myself that like, oh, I need that. Like I definitely need that thing to like make a better, you know what I mean? Anyways.
And is that a banjo behind you as well? I saw. Is there a banjo there? Yeah.
Banjo. Yeah. See, this is like a proper like, because they have those banjos, right? Those guitar banjos that a lot of people play, and I was like, no. Like if I'm gonna play the banjo, I'm gonna play a proper 5-string banjo. This 5th string, however, I'm gonna try and get that in the frame. This 5th string that you do, yep. I never touch that. I don't know. It's so like unnatural for me to like play with that string, so I don't. But anyways, I do a little banjo picking from time to time on tracks, mostly just editing. I don't really play it very well, so I just chop it up until like it sounds like I want it to sound. Yeah, that's pretty much the case with all of this stuff. Like I'm like passively good at them so that I can get them into Pro Tools and then edit them so that they sound like I know what I'm doing. That's the whole thing.
Plus, they must look pretty cool around the room though when you're working.
They do. Ultimately, though, I just bump my shins into them, and then so yeah.
So you're, as you said earlier, obviously you're signed now with Open Road Recordings. They've got some pretty household sort of names for country music over in Canada. Mm-hmm. Have you sort of gone to any of them for advice yet?
In terms of artists, like I've looked up to all the artists on Open Road Recordings for a lot of years. And I've been inspired by their music. Like their songs play on the radio all the time, and I like country radio. I love country radio, actually. I put it on when I'm, driving or whatever, and their songs have always been on. And, there's classic artists on that label, like the Road Hammers and Jason McCoy, and, Dean Brody started out there. And so there's some great songwriters, great artists on that label that I look up to in creating my own work. And so I feel really fortunate to be able to like be a part of that roster, to be, I guess, considered one of them, which is really cool. And so it's a special thing. And everybody at the label's been incredibly supportive, like from day one. They're like, we love it, and because a big thing I think that people might assume, or that a lot of artists assume, is like when you sign with a label that you're kind of like their puppet in some ways. I think that's sort of like a stigma around it, but it's just not the case with Open Road. They're like, we like what you're doing, and we want you to make what you're doing, and we're going to support that. So I was like, cool. Like, so then that means, I can put a song out like Broken Lonely, and I can put stuff out like It Ain't Me, for example, which is like just a really fun disco pop kind of thing on the record. Um, that, I think if this was like a more traditional kind of setup where it's like, we're going to kind of Hawkeye you and make sure that you're following every part of this marketing strategy to get this record done, it would be a different story. So I'm really grateful that the team at Open Road allows me to just be a creator and to make the stuff um, that I love making. And in terms of like going to them for advice and stuff, I look to the team there for advice, and my manager Jeremy, and my business manager Jim. And I mean, like, I've got such a great team of people around me to kind of keep me in line, keep me on the right path. Yeah, as a creator, it's really easy to veer off and just kind of get weird. So it's nice that they're there to be like, okay, we love this, but now how do we actually make this come to fruition? Like, great idea, Dustin, but like, we don't have $1 million. So like, what else maybe can we do? Like, how can we maybe strip this back a little bit? So yeah, it's just a really great time working with them, and I feel really fortunate to be a part of it.
So Canadian artists are starting to make waves over this side, and obviously we've had a few artists from Ontario coming over, including like James Barker Band and Tebe. So when you heard you were nominated for the Ontario Country Music Rising Star Award, what kind of boost to the confidence does that kind of give you as an artist?
It's just validating, man. It's like it's just kind of to say like everything that you've been working for, like, we recognize that. The Country Music Association of Ontario, um, I've been a member with them for a lot of years, and I've gone to the conferences, and that's actually how I met a lot of the people that I know in this business. And so they have always had like a really important role in my career, just from the simple fact that they bring people together, and they um, align artists with people in the business and other artists and songwriters, and they're supporting them. And so when it comes to like a nomination, it's that recognition to say, hey, like, it's the same thing with the label. It's like, hey, you're kind of a part of the team now. You're kind of, and so it's almost it's a warm fuzzy kind of feeling. It's like a family kind of moment, because country music is small, around the world, and especially in Ontario. I mean, it's a really small family of people, and we're all supporting one another. And so it's not like, I guess, like the feeling of glitz and glamour and like, oh, like I'm a star now. I am a star. It's more like, hey, you're you know you're doing good work. We like it. We're gonna throw you a nomination, and we want you to come out and be a part of this with us. And so that just makes me feel really, really, really good, and really, really proud to, um, be able to make the music that I'm making, and to have that under the umbrella of the Country Music Association of Ontario, and of Canadian country music as a whole. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful place to be, and um, just full of fabulous people. Like, I mean, fabulous people.
So it's not just Ontario though, because you've had a top 40 in Australia.
Yeah.
How does that even come around then?
Well, so Every Little Town, it's one of the songs on the record, and we actually put that out a little bit before the record came out as a live off the floor kind of single. So we dropped it pretty softly over here, like we threw it on Spotify and stuff, and let people get a taste of it. We put out the video, and we decided that it would be kind of interesting to see how the Australian market would respond to it. I've listened to a lot of Australian country music, and it really felt like it sort of made sense with that audience. And um, so we were like, let's give it a shot. Let's try it. Let's just take it over to Australia. We know that the country music market in Australia is really booming, growing really, really rapidly. A lot of people over there love their country music, just like is happening in the UK. That we're seeing, a lot of fans from across Europe, and they're really sinking their teeth into country music, I think, more than I've ever seen in the past. And so with Australia, it was like, let's get our feet wet. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we can maybe enter a new market. And we did with Every Little Town, and the response was like overwhelmingly positive. It's like, yeah, we're gonna make this a top 40 now. And I was like, freaking cool, man. That's great. But we just did that independently, prior to the Open Road signing, and so we're really excited now with Open Road to be able to take Broken Lonely and try and introduce Broken Lonely to the Australian market, to the European market, and let that kind of be the next step, the evolution onto that. It just feels great, and again, like, I'm just happy that people are listening to the songs. you know.
So we've spoken about the release of Unscripted, but it's not just your own music that's come out this year already, because you were writing a song for Brian John Hold. So how important is it to kind of continue writing and producing for other people rather than putting yourself first all the time now?
With COVID, it's really critical, actually, to you basically being able to like survive. I mean, without live shows, like, that's a substantial amount of money lost in the industry as a whole. Um, and so that comes directly back to artists, and artists are the ones who feel it probably the most. And so with Brian, as soon as we basically, back in like April, we were like, hey, this COVID thing is probably not going away anytime soon. So what can we do to kind of support our friends in this business, and not just artists, but the songwriters who aren't getting the songs cut because artists can't record songs, and all of the agents who were like just trying to keep their head above water, and managers, and on and on and on, right? Like, there's so many people that were affected by this. So we're like, how do we support them? And we decided that we wanted to write a song, and get a bunch of our artist friends to feature on that, so that we could put it out and donate the money generated from that tune to Unison Benevolent Fund, which is a fund over here that supports artists and the music industry as a whole, financially and in terms of like mental health support and stuff. So we're like, this is a beautiful thing. Let's do that, and we basically put our heads down for like a month and a half, and got that thing done. Um, and we're really, really proud of that song. Together We're Strong, it's called. And I mean, the response from it was fabulous. And yeah, so I mean, with Brian, it's been a great experience in terms of just like getting his singles out there into the world. Because I mean, I was working with him before we did Together We're Strong, continued afterwards just on his solo stuff, and working with other artists as well, and trying to make it as easy on the artists throughout this COVID time as possible, so that they can, get the tracks done in time, have them sound the way they want it to sound, not have to worry about like, oh, like, I can't get to Nashville now. Like, what do I do? Like, let's make stuff that sounds banging, and let's do it responsibly. So it's been a really important thing to have for me throughout this whole time, and for the artists as well, the ability to put the music out there and to stay in front of their fans. It's critical.
So what was it like when putting Together We're Stronger together, and obviously all the music was coming in from artists all across the country rather than actually seeing any of them face to face? What was it like as that music kind of started to come in for the track?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. I had never done something on that scale before. We had like 17 artists on the track, so um, none of them recorded their stuff here. I don't even think Brian recorded his stuff here, actually, because he'll normally um, come down and do his vocals. But yeah, I think every single vocal um, was sent to me just remotely, and so everybody was like trying to figure out. Some of them had little studios, like little home studios. Some of them had to go to studios in their towns and figure out how they could do that with all the restrictions in place. Some of them had never done anything like this before, so they're buying microphones, like trying to figure out how they could make it happen. And bless them for it, man, because it made for a beautiful track. And I mean, all of them delivered pristine vocals, and they sounded great. I mean, beautiful harmonies. All of their creative choices were great, and so I was delivered like hundreds of tracks in the session, just trying to figure out how to piece it all together, and how we wanted to structure the whole thing. Some of which we planned out prior, but of course, when you're not with the artist in the studio, a lot of it is kind of just up to the artist. So getting all those tracks back, and then basically piecing it all together. And Jordan Orbeck in Nashville mixed this song, and he was actually he kind of went above and beyond for this tune, in terms of just having that creative input in the final stages, and really being supportive. So him and I, we collaborated pretty heavily near the end of it to make sure that this thing came together and sounded the way that we wanted it to sound. And I'm really proud of it. But it was a big Pro Tools session. It was a big Pro Tools session. Yeah.
So you've had obviously quite a busy start to 2021 already. What are you kind of hoping the rest of the year is going to have in store for you now?
Well, right now, we are promoting this record and trying to get it in front of as many people as possible. And on Monday, March 1st, the song is going to go to Canadian Country Radio. So we're really, really excited about that. We do, like I said, we do have these live off the floor pieces coming out pretty soon, along with some other kind of fun and interesting little tidbits that I won't get into too much. I like to keep some things a surprise, but these things will come out, and they're pretty interesting. And then going forward, basically just like creating, like that's every single day, man. Just writing songs, producing songs, and getting stuff ready to go out there, and looking at what else we can do creatively to keep things interesting, to kind of think outside the box a little bit and just say, what else can we do? Like, yeah, we've got the song and we've got these other pieces, but like, what else is there? So we're patiently waiting for live music to come back. Thinking about how we can put together that live show, including this record now and the music going forward, and make that the best show that we can possibly make it. And basically just trying to load up the ammo for when that does happen, so that when we're out on the road, like, we're 110%, and we can give the fans what they've been waiting for, for however long this thing continues to last. So yeah, really looking forward to that.
Excellent here. So before we finish, you're going to do one more song just to play us out?
Right. Yeah. So I'll play you out. I will play you out. So this song, this is one of the ones that we did live off the floor. This is Rolling Stone. Your Cody high stuff, love me in vain, my sweet Virginia, out of control. You start me up, and I go wild under your thumb. They flap and fly down on a mule ride. I'm just your foe in a photograph. Shine a light under cover of the night. Flip the switch, anybody see my vibe? It's only like you, like a rolling stone. Anybody see my baby? She's a heartbreaker. You're not friendly. You got this silver, but you painted black. Sweet as brown sugar, but you painted black. No rainbow, but you painted black. Blue and lonesome, but you painted black. My sweet lady, you sympathy for the devil, baby. You're a rainbow, and I'm blinded by the rainbow. Anybody see my baby? It's only like you, like a rolling stone. Anybody see my baby? I'm just a fool, and I can't with you. You don't have to go. I want all of you, but I can't with you. And I'm just a fool, no, I can't quit you, baby. It's only like him, like a rolling stone. My baby, she's a heart, midnight. Rolling Stone.
Thank you very much. So thank you for joining us this evening or this afternoon, Dustin. So if you haven't heard it already, the debut EP Unscripted is available now, and the new single is going to Canadian Country Radio on Monday. So very good luck with that.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.